All right, thank you for watching and thank you for joining me today. My name is Francis. I'm a trained therapist, now life coach, and my goal is really to help people remove any obstacles, barriers, emotional blockages that get in the way of them, either starting a business, maintaining a business, or even just stuff like that they want to do. If you want to live a more meaningful and purposeful life, then I'd love to talk to you. So today's topic is all about resilience, and I love talking about resilience because I think often we don't talk about it enough, and often some of my clients aren't sure how to strengthen that. How do you bounce back from challenging situations? So I'm just going to start with a story first. When I was in graduate school, I had to write this paper. I can't remember why I had to write the paper. They made us write a lot of papers back then. But the topic that I chose was resilience, and I was fascinated by the idea about people who can endure insurmountable traumas, pain in their lives, and yet still be resilient. Yet they found a way to bounce back and just readjust their lives, knowing that this traumatic experience had turned the world upside down. And this traumatic experience is now a part of their story. It's a part of their history. And so I deeply wanted to write this article because I wanted to show others that relief, that meaning and purpose and joy was on the other side. And there's a life worth living for despite all the shitty things that happen to you. So that's really why I wanted to talk about resiliency. But then I started to think more about it, and then I thought, okay, what makes some people more resilient than others? And there were a few highlights from the research that I did that I'd love to share with you guys. So first, it was the mastery of your emotions and having social connections. Those are really two big factors in being able to bounce back from difficult things and difficult situations in your life. Having a social circle makes sense, right? Because we all need support. We need a support system that can help us, move through difficult times in our lives. The ability to lean on people, and if also they can provide you with some insight, that would be great, right? And so developing mastery over your emotions and your life is a game changer. I hear it so much. People talk about I want to be less emotionally reactive. I want to be able to not just get so angry and react and say things that I don't necessarily mean or do things that I don't necessarily want to do. And they want to stop coming from that emotionally charged place, right? And so, lost my place. And so when you develop mastery over your emotions and your life, like I said, is a game changer. So resilience to me, and if you look it up, it really is a muscle, right? So what that means is that you can train yourself to be more resilient if you're willing to do the work, right? Everything comes down to doing the work. But for many of us who grew up in tumultuous households, it impacts our ability to quickly bounce back from adversity, right? So those who are more resilient tend to maybe have grown up in homes that had good enough parenting, or homes were very loving. But for some of us who haven't, it doesn't mean that we can't. It just means that it will take us a little bit more time, right? And so, but in all honesty, no one truly knows how resilient they're going to be, regardless of whether you grew up in a loving home or not, until you're actually facing that adversity. So no one knows. So I just wanted to caveat that. But let's get back to what makes people resilient. Resilient people are able to utilize their skills and their strengths to cope and recover from challenges, right? Resilient people don't think that everything is rosy. It's not a matter of optimism. It's the idea that setbacks do happen, okay? And that life is painful and hard, but also on the flip side, life is beautiful and loving. There's a lot of other aspects of life. But it's being able to live in that duality. And a lot of resilient people are able to do that, right? To be able to live in that duality. Often, sometimes we're very black or white, and then often we just want things to be good all the time. We want to feel good emotions all the time, and that's just not realistic, right? And so it's being able to live in that duality that helps you to become more resilient. And resilient people, they use their skills and strengths to get through challenging moments again. So how can you be a bit more resilient? And I got some tips for you, all right? So, well, the first thing, and this kind of goes with almost a lot of things, not just becoming resilient, but you must first begin to reframe your thoughts. Ask yourself, do I have disempowering thoughts that are like circling around my head like, sharks in the water? In that case, put your thoughts on trial. This is what I tell my clients. Put your thoughts on trial, literally. So for instance, let's say you're afraid of something. You want to be like, Thea, what's up? And then Thea's going to be like, I don't know, and you're like, speak up, I can't understand you. And then you're like, well, I don't know, for example, like, I don't know about like dating again. The last relationship I was cheated on. And then you say, okay, that's valid. And then you ask, well, what would it take to rebuild trust again? So again, and I forgot to put my headphones on. Sorry guys, I hope you can hear me. So again, put your thoughts on trial. Literally, because when you do that, you pretty much remove the emotion so you can think logically, especially if you're at an emotionally charged state. And from there, you can actually create a game plan. You can begin to move forward. And next, seek out those social connections. Ask yourself, who can I reach out to for more support? And although it's absolutely your responsibility to heal and change your life, it isn't a solo journey. It doesn't have to be a solo journey. So who can you bring into your life to hold space for you? And I'm going to say this, okay? I'm tired, y'all. I am so tired of y'all not asking for help, okay? It's okay. Asking for help does not make you weak. In fact, it takes courage and it requires a certain level of humility. So if you don't ask for help, how will you gain new insights? How will change take place? When you're in it, like when you're deep in it, you can't think or feel clearly. You're biased, right? And you can't see the situation from the outside. So it makes sense to bring in someone else who can be objective, or even just someone who you trust, like who won't steer you in the opposite direction. All right, so lastly, the most important skill set, again, is to strengthen your resilience, is to gain mastery again over your emotions. And you focus on the things that you can control. We hear this time and time again, but it works when you focus on the things that you can control and then you let go of the things that you cannot. Mastery of your emotions is going to look different for everyone. Okay, some feel a lot and they cry a lot. Others don't cry at all. They shut down or they try not to feel their emotions. Again, emotions are just feedback, guys. So ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me right now? Take an objective look. Definitely go through the process, but then when you're done, you take a deep breath, you grab a piece of paper, a journal, something, and you say, okay, what is this emotion telling me? Obviously many of these steps are easier said than done. It's a whole process. And that's why I always suggest people to do micro acts of the things that are challenging for them. In what micro ways can you reframe your thoughts? In what micro ways can you practice mastering your emotions? In what micro ways can you seek out support, seek out a support system for yourself? And in what micro ways can you focus on what you can control? Okay? This process requires a commitment on your part to work through your stuff, whether that's trauma, any lingering pain, any self-doubts, or any emotional blockages, so that you can clear the path. All right? And the reason I'm telling you guys all of this is because, through this current climate in our society right now, we're experiencing a lot of intense emotions, especially with kids going back to school, for parents and families, like everyone, there's a bit of anxiety going on. So intense emotions that will ripple that have a ripple effect even after all these shifts and changes come post-COVID, whenever that will be, right? Because there will be a sense of normalcy at some point. And when that happens, what are you going to take with you across the finish line, right? And granted, we never really finish. We never really arrive. We just continue to transcend. But what I do know about human nature is our ability to bounce back, to fight, to stand up, and face whatever challenge is happening. We've done it time and time again. It is possible for everyone. It's possible for you. All right? So I'm going to end it here, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please join my newsletter at defyingresistance.com. defyingresistance.com. And share this with somebody who you think it'd be helpful. I actually just finished on a 7-day fast. Today's the last day. Supposed to do 10, but I was like, I'm ready to eat. So my cousin's making me some soup right now. And that's what we're going to have for dinner. Me and my sister did the fast. So anyway, see you next time. I'll be here next Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Turn on your notifications. And thank you for watching.